Good evening, race fans, and welcome to another round of the Raceface.Pro iRacing GT3 Championship, round 4 at the beautiful Virginia International Raceway. My name is Stephen Koenig, here from THT Productions, and we're here at the beautiful Elton, USA circuit, Virginia International, where it is incredibly difficult. It's a roller coaster ride and a circuit that has cemented itself in legacy. But it's also got the unfortunate part of missing the giant oak tree up at the top hairpin before the long back straightaway that was there for many, many years, going on roughly about 60 years of that oak tree being there. When they redid the circuit, they cut the oak tree down, and when they rescanned the circuit, there was actually a bit of a sad moment for it being missing in action. That being said, a massive welcome to you all for an absolutely phenomenal championship we've got lined up and a phenomenal race being done. 45-minute race to come with one mandatory pit stop. All tyres have to be changed during the course of that pit stop. And also, if you manage to get 40 incident points, well, that's a disqualification. You do have unlimited fast repairs, and that will sort out any damages onto the cost. But let's take a look at the points before we move forward on this beautiful circuit. It is Luke Leclerc out in first place on 145 points, tied with Werner Schumann on 145 points. Salvatore Cardi sits on 118, Malcolm Pringle on 111, Yuri Umpi-Swart sits on 103, Noah Hendricks on 102, who's tied it with Edro Macon and Jacques Ever, both sitting on 102. So we got three that are right into the mix there. Jakob van der Lith sits on 100 points and 1 point under them. Bert Gildenays followed by Werner Swart, Willem Botha, Paul Gerber, Bradley Surley, Yas M.I., Falstar, Justin Nieloff, Jean Jans van Rensburg, and Yuppie Simons a little bit further down. So, with that being our pro, let's take a look at our Pro-Am. It's also just as spicy. Joshua Symes sits at the top with 152 points. Brandon Roberts in second place, tied with Johan Engelbrecht on 129 points. And they've also got Robbie Teens for a bit of company as well. 1 point off all three of those drivers is the likes of Etienne Swart on 128 points. Farney Kravitzine follows in 6th, followed by Gerard Vermillion, Doug Herber, Louis Norkier, Duncan Roderick, Willem Pinard, Paul Weber, Arno Kraus, Trevor Harper, John Durant, Stephen Cakebread, Warren Opperman, and Jaco Kutzer rounds out our Pro-Am field. But that being said, we have got currently our qualifying underway. Sergei Sarkov is out on track, all the way out from Lithuania, and looking to really put in a big impact here tonight after some considerable pace he's had during the course of the season. He's hoping to carry a lot of the momentum that he's had previously to make it work in his Lamborghini. And we've also got a new driver out onto the circuit, Ben England, coming and joining us to have a bit of fun. And we've also got Hilton Nixon, who is lying in our Pro-Am class. So we'll go and get an update on who's where, what's happening, how they all fit into the championship. And it's going to be a very, very interesting time, that is for sure, as our drivers make their way around the circuit, trying to find the pace underneath them, try and move a little bit further up through the field, and ensure they stay in for the fight here. So, that being said, it's going to be a rough one. It's going to be a tight one. A circuit that is very, very unforgiving to a lot of drivers. Any mistakes, any slip-ups mean that you're in for a world of hurt quite quickly, and this is a big impact for drivers. Now for round 4 of 7 rounds in the championship, so we're getting close to the end, and this is going to make things rather interesting to see. Willem Botha puts himself out in first place of the Pro with a 146.5 fast tar, following up in second place as it stands. Hilton Nixon taking the top of the Pro-Am field with a 147.642. Duncan Roderick trying to pick up the pace behind him. Yuri Umpi-Swart, as the times start to flow in as fast as they go, we're going to see more and more competitors doing. Now, this is a combined field. You got Pro and Pro-Am. They're going to be racing together at the same time and showing off what they can do. That being said, life does get a little bit more tricky for a lot of these drivers, as we do see the fastest laps popping up on our screens, giving us a bit of a sense of what is happening, what can we expect in this incredible pace. And Salvatore Cardi, as said, looking to go and fight it out to the top. Willem Buerta running in second place. He's been on a solid roll for the last little while. Had a very close race last GT3 where he actually managed to get a pass done and dusted right before the line. Not an easy thing to do, but hoping to make it work here tonight. Paul Herbert runs in third place. He's had an up and down season, but he's hoping to make it work a little bit better this evening. Byron Mitchell, a little bit further down in fourth place out there in the Acura. Sergei Sarkov lies in fifth. Werner Swart in sixth place. Faztar down in seventh. Jaco van der Lith, Jurion P. Swart, and then Roland Ferreira. Starting out with our Pro-Am field, it's Brandon Roberts looking to put himself at the top. He's got Hilton, Nixon, and Etienne Swart for a bit of company to try and close down the running. Jason Krinkers comes all the way out from the side of Germany, and he's looking in the Ford Mustang to really make an impact here. He's got Noah Hendricks for a bit of company, lying in 15th place. Doug Herber down in 17th. As we start to see a bit of changes at the top, Willem Buerta puts in the time 146.041, and managing to really put himself up towards the sharp in the field. Werner Skuman from the Pandacity team puts himself into third place. Remember, tied in the championship with Luke Lucchesi, who is still needing to put a time on the board. We still have the likes of Trevor Harper, Jaco Kutzer, Willem Pienaar, Luke Lucchesi, and Yasin Ismail to put a time on the board. Well, Yasin's going to try and put one right now as he does come across the line. This will move him up to 21st position, so he's properly putting the hammer down and really moving his way up through the order. Cardi still sits at the top of the chart. Sergei Sarkov going and putting in a good time of 146.442 before diving into turn one, trying to pick himself up through the pace. We are sitting with 28 cars that have put a time on the board thus far, but we do have 29, 30, 31, 32 cars that are out on the circuit this evening, trying to get some proper pace underneath them. Doug Herber leading up the Pro-Ams at current, sits in 14th overall. You've got Brandon Roberts for company, the Ferrari 296 hunting down the Chev, hoping to pick up the pace, hoping to find a little bit of time and ensure he can stay in for the fight here as drivers continue to try and get a time in for this 10-minute qualifying. It's solo, which means there is no room for error. There's no room to go and even blame for other drivers being there. It's all on you, including all the dirt that you land up chucking on the track as you go through. Only driver that hasn't put a time on the board, however, is going to Jaco Kutzer and Luke Lucchesi. Now, remember, Luke Lucchesi is in the fight with the championship against Werner Skuman. So a lap time is crucial for qualifying, because the last thing you want to be doing is starting 32nd in the field and losing out a little bit of time here. The RDSA driver hoping to really make an impact and move his way through the front. Byron Mitchell going and fighting blow for blow against Jurion P. Swart, but Werner Swart out of nowhere puts himself up into 6th place. Now, Werner Swart had a very interesting time in the Mazdas last week, going and fighting out against his own brother and getting involved with a Koenig to just see what happens, and it turned into a rather heated battle between them, but Werner ultimately wanting to get a one-up on his brother and looking to have that happen here in the GT3s. As time starts to tick away, 2 minutes left on the board, well, less than 2 minutes left on the board. Taking a look to our virtual grandstands, a massive welcome to you all. We got Christian Burris and the likes of Brandon Kruger, Azra, going and joining in for the fray. Good to have you guys here. Good to see you all and enjoying the racing as it stands. Now, Hilton Nixon leads out the Pro-Am field with Brandon Robert running in 2nd place. Jacques Ever holds 3rd, however, and hoping that he can move his way up through the order. It's going to be a tough time out there for him to just try and figure out where to go for the SBR driver. Paul Herber puts in a brilliant lap time, a 145.7, and making it work in his favor at the moment to try and move up through the order. Willem Buerta, unfortunately, not able to get a good time out on the board. Will have to wait it out. Same as Ecuador, who has been trying every time to move up through the pace, but sitting in 7th at the moment, not able to get the hammer down. You can see a lot of time being lost in the 2nd and 4th sector for a lot of these drivers as they have to go through the snake. Sergei Sarkov being one of those drivers that is just not having a good time out there trying to pick up the pace. Byron Mitchell will be next to come across the line. Down in the first 2 sectors, up in the 3rd, and down the rest. Unfortunately, not able to pick up the pace and will be running out of time. 30 seconds to go. Werner Swart manages to move himself into third place. Salvatore Cardi into second, but Paul Gerber still holds the top of the pile with a 1:45.702 over the 1:45.730. 0.028 separating the first two. Time starting to run out. 3, 2, 1, and that would be the end of qualifying for our drivers. Bit of a shocking time for others, and a bit of a rough time for many drivers that are looking to put the pace up this evening. But it's time we get ready to go racing as we take a look to the grid. It's going to be Paul Gerber starting on the front row for the first time, with Salvatore Cardi in second place, Werner Swart in third, Willem Buerta will hold fourth place, Byron Mitchell, Yuri Umpi-Swart. We got Eduardo Macron running in seventh, Fars Tar, followed by the likes of Sergei Sarkov, Werner Skuman, Yasin Ismail, and Jacques Ever in 12th. A little bit further down, we got Luke Lucchesi in 13th, a little bit further than where he wanted to be, but we'll have to try and fight his way through the field. We've got Jacob van der Lith going and chasing down Jacques Ever just ahead of him. Roland Ferreira and Jason Krinkers will be battling it out, with Hilton Nixon's making his first debut run here in the Raceface.Pro iRacing GT3 Championship for Season 4. He has been here in the first season. Joshua Syme sits in 18th position, Brandon Roberts in 19th. Doug Gerber will be more than happy with his performance, as he has been really on the charge and definitely picked up the pace. 21st is Fanny Kravitsin, Etienne Swart. Ben England will start in 23rd, followed by Noah Hendricks in 24th. A little bit further down, however, it's going to be Robbie Teen, Stephen Craigbrad, Duncan Roderick, Arno Kraus, Willem Pienaar, Trevor Harper, John Durant, and Jaco Gutse rounds out in 32nd position. So as drivers get themselves ready, they will be hoping to make an impact here tonight. It is going to be a tough time for many of these drivers to think about what they need to do. One mandatory pit stop will need to be done by our drivers to ensure they can keep up the pace. Now, that being said, it is a mandatory pit stop that is needed to be done. And that is going to be all 4 tires changed, so you can expect a pit stop taking well over 30 seconds in the race. Now, that does make life rather tricky for all our competitors to deal with here at Virginia International Raceway. And a massive welcome to you all while we go out on our pace car lap to start warming up those tires and brakes. We're at Virginia International Raceway. It's 28 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees track temperature, 54 in terms of humidity, and for the first time, we are going to be including a live timing for you out there in the crowd to see what is going on. I'm going to ask likes of our moderators to put it in to share amongst you all, so you'll be able to tune in and see live timing here tonight at the Raceface.Pro. Round 4. And there we go, out there. Thank you very much to our moderators going and putting in all the info. So you can follow along at home in this brilliant race. 32 cars looking to fire up. Doug Gerber going to be starting from pit lane, however. Paul Gerber, his brother, will start on the front row next to Salvatore Cardi, all the way out from Italy, the Demon Racing, hoping to make an impact here tonight. And he's got Werner Swart, Willem Buerta for a bit of company as they start snaking their way through. Now, these are where the drivers are going to be thinking crucial moments. What do they need to do to make the impact? How far are they willing to push these cars? How early on are they going on for the attack to one another? And that is going to be an interesting time. That is going to be an interesting play for many of the drivers to think about during the course of this race, and whether they are ready to make the impact, whether they're ready to move forward, and are they willing to make those big dives to get the passes done here tonight. That is going to be the hard part for many of these drivers, considering on how much work needs to be done to ensure that you can get going. So as drivers making their way through, there is a correction. Hilton Nixon is actually racing in the Pro category. So we'll quickly just change on his override. So you put him in the correct category. And he is racing in Pro. So as drivers make their way through out of the snake, they're going to be going up the hill. This is a real fast accelerating zone where you got to ensure that you're ready to give it everything you got. A crucial mistake can throw you all the way down, and you've got to be so careful not to be caught out, not to lose pace, and ensure that you're going to keep your foot in it the whole way through. Slipstreaming effects do work rather well, but making sure you don't brake too late, otherwise it will compromise you. Now, as the safety car goes and gets themselves ready, we're going to quickly take an onboard look off the roll bar cam of Paul Gerber, who's starting out in the front row. It's been a while since he's been here, but is no stranger to going and fighting it out at the top, and is looking to make a big impact here tonight. Joshua Syme will be going and kicking things off for our Pro-Am. He's got Brandon Robert joining him side by side for the Pro-Ams. Unfortunately, Noah Hendricks is going to be running in the mix of the Pro-Am field before he can even get onto the back of Hilton Nixon, running in 17th position, while Noah Hendricks sits in 22nd. So, safety car pulls in, we're getting ready to go. Lights on, lights on, lights on. When lights go off, we go racing. Turn 1, cold tires. And hopefully everyone's warmed up their brakes. This is round 4 at Virginia International Raceway for iRacing GT3 Championship here in Raceface. And we are green and racing, folks, as our drivers charge down towards turn 1, giving it everything they got, trying to power their way through. Paul Gerber trying to hold the inside line, while Salvatore Cardi trying to go and battle out around him. Willem Buerta getting pushed out to the outside. Byron Mitchell getting squeezed out by Werner Swart and Willem Buerta. But we are starting to see drivers shuffling their way through. A bit of contact and carnage from Werner Skuman and Stephen Cakebread dropping down the order. Byron Mitchell trying to get the pass done. Up on the inside, he's contact with the likes of Eduardo, and unfortunately losing out a bit of time there. Not ideal circumstances coming into play, and another spinner comes in. That looks to be Luke Lucchesi getting chucked through the order and not going and having an easy time out there. So drivers having a bit of a tough time to get going, and a loss of pace for many. So we do see Werner Swart's got Yuri Umpi-Swart onto the back of him, going and gaining some time. Brandon Roberts feeling the pressure from Noah Hendricks and Fani Cravenstein. We're going to try and get back to what happened to Luke Lucchesi. A quick replay of the events that happened. So this is Luke Lucchesi. After impact to the wall, you can see quite a bit of damage to his car and many others filtering through, getting a monster load of impact, unfortunately, and tossing him down the order. Not ideal circumstances, not what everyone wants to have in the early stages of the race. Back up to the front, though, it is like Salvatore Cardi leading out with Paul Gerber at bay, and Willem Buerta trying everything he can to try and make up a bit of time. Now, interesting to point out that Willem Pilon, Luke Lucchesi, Hilton Nixon, Ben England, all getting involved in that early stage contact and losing out a severe amount of time. Willem Buerta trying to make a bit of time up to Paul Gerber, who lost out that first place to Cardi. Looks towards the inside, couldn't get it done. Yuri Umpi-Swart trying to go up on the inside of Werner Swart, and now really getting the hammer down. Immediately opens the door. Here comes Yasin Ismail in the Porsche, looking to try and get his little bit of a dig in. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get it to work out as Werner Swart closes up the gap. The McLarens have a lot of straight in, but it is the Porsche, slides across the nose, and that is Yasin. Hook, line, and sinker ahead of Werner Swart, moving up through the order. Sergei Sarkov a little bit further down with Faz Tar and the likes of Jaco van Lith trying to battle his way through. Jason Kronkers doing everything he can to move up through the order. But our battle for the Pro-Am is Brandon Robert, Joshua Syme trying to give it everything they got between one another, with Fani Cravenstein trying to close up the gap. They've got Etienne Swartz, and there's Werner Skuman, the championship leader for the likes of our pro category further down. Hilton Nixon in for the meatball flag, unfortunately getting some repair work done to his car. Likes as Eduardo and the likes of Willem Pienaar also getting some work done to their cars respectively. Nose to tail they go at the front end of the field for Salvatore Cardi and Paul Gerber, all trying to make a bit of headway here, not wanting to lose a bit of time. Werner Swart trying to keep ahead of Sergei Sarkov as it's nose to tail racing at the moment. It's 45 minutes of pure adrenaline action right the way through, as we do see Werner Skuman trying to make up a bit of time on his climb back to the top end of the circuit after a devastating crash between a mighty amount of drivers, unfortunately throwing many down the tubes, and many of the racers having to think what can they do and where they're going to have to go. So back out in front of them, Fanny Cravenstein now having to deal with Werner Skuman as drivers start to leave the box. Fanny Cravenstein trying to hope to defend Werner Skuman off. Remember, they're not fighting for class position, but it's overall position that is come into the fray, as we do have a fight for first place of the Pro-Am field. Immediately, Joshua trying to capture the first place back from Brandon Roberts, who keeps defending that Snail's Pace Racing team, having a very difficult time to get past the Proton Velocity team of Brandon Roberts as they continue on the incredible charge here at Virginia. Now remember, it's 45 minutes of racing. They have got a mandatory pit stop that needs to be served during the course of this race, and it's all about the pace on the way through. What can you do? How fast can you move up? What is going to be the game plan for many of the drivers to ensure that this is all in working order? Now, not many of the drivers are going to have to figure out what the game plan is with fuel, but it is going to be the main game plan of how far are you willing to push the limit. Where are you going to go, and where are you going to be able to battle? Out in front though, Cardi's starting to open up the gap a little bit more to Paul Ferber as they continue on their drive. Yasin Ishmael down in 6th position has got Werner Swartz and Sergei Sarkov for a bit of company. The Porsche followed by McLaren and Lamborghini looking to pressure and move their way up. Jacques Evert down in 14th trying to hunt down the likes of Noah Hendricks, who's a little bit further back. Now remember, these two landed up in a bit of a problem. Jacques Evert down 10 positions from where he started. He's got Noah Hendricks of the Asymmetric Racing team trying to cut his way through the field against one of the Mercs, and that's Stephen Catebread, who is just trying to drive. He's got a little bit of aero damage on the nose, doesn't want to go into the pits and lose out too much time. He's going to try and drive it through. Jacques Evert is going to be the next one to try and sleep on by and not wanting to get caught out. Yuriampi Swartz looking to try and keep at bay, as we do see the likes of Yasin Ishmael having a battle with Werner Swartz, Sergei Sarkov, Faz Tar now joining in the fray in the Porsche, looking to try and be right on the back. This is going to be a tough time for the likes of Yasin Ishmael, who constantly has the pressure on him, filling up his mirrors, ensuring that there is no room for error amongst the drivers, and there is no room to go and lose out any bit of pace at the moment. Doug Huber, after starting in the pit lane, is down in 32nd position and doesn't look like he hasn't moved up, and it looks like we may have got two retirements, Doug Huber and Luke Lucchese, out of this race in the early stages of the game. Back up towards the sharp end of the field, Salvatore Cardi, Paul Ferber still running nose to tail, no difference in pace there. Both of them running the long game here, trying to figure out what they're going to do, hooking in the slipstream of one another, pushing a little bit harder. They do have Willem Buerta trying to make up some time and being a part of the race. Roland Ferreira doing his fastest lap time of the race. Is going to be quite happy on his pace as he moves up through the order. So drivers hoping to really keep going, and here on board for Werner Swartz as he tries to get everything he's got underneath the car, hoping to get a little bit more power underneath him. Unfortunately, not turning into an easy time with Yasin Ishmael and that Porsche having a lot of low-end torque, but it's all about the pace down the big straight, and this is where the McLaren has got ample amount of room to make it work as he puts the power down, looks to the inside. Can he get the pass happening? Goes around and unfortunately just loses out and braking to the Porsche. Once again, Yasin just holding his line, but that has allowed the likes of Sergei Sarkov to get a little bit closer. Jaco van der Lith and Krinkers also starting to get into the fray as well as the train starts to build up. Some great racing to kick off the start of this race, and absolutely a wonderful time. Werner Skuman trying to make the climb back up through the field, down in 12th position. Every point helps in the championship here. And remember, it's going to be a really, really tough time for many of these drivers to think of what they need to do in these closing stages of the championship. 7 rounds that we've got racing in the GT3 class. And unfortunately, we're on round 4. So there's not much time to really go and score as many points as you need. Joshua Syme, however, is chasing Brandon Robin. You can see the gap starting to open up yet again, turning into quite a monstrous amount. Hard braking, however, as we do see the likes of Faz look towards the inside of Sergei Sarkov. May have got the pass done as they drag race through. Sergei not having the top end on the Lamborghini. He's going to try and put his nose into the left-hander. It is up the hill. It is tight. It is difficult. And Faz gets a pass hooked in right behind Werner Swart, nose to tail. And you can see that the likes of Jason trying to move out of the tow, not wanting to be caught up too much to Jaco van der Lith, and looking for any opportunity to try and make up a little bit of time here at Virginia International Raceway. Over the hill they go, and flat out for our pro class, putting in an almighty effort. Byron Mitchell sets the fastest lap time of the race as he closes on to RDSA driver Willem Buerter. The two of them have done battle previously, and now it's coming all over again. It's coming unglued here in the pro category. Our pro-ams are a little bit more relaxed this time round, as they hope to try and get themselves going a little bit towards the sharp end of the field. Yasin Ismail opening up away from Werner Swart, Faz Sergei Sarkov, and Jaco van der Lith immediately takes a look in his mirrors to see this big almighty Mustang of Jason all over the back of him, hunting him down, looking for any opportunity to try and get the pass done and dusted. And I'm looking over to the virtual grandstands as well. We have got Yuppie Simons out there in the grandstands going and enjoying the racing action. Good to see him out here. But a little bit sad not to see you out on the track, considering you're one of the championship fighters. Jason hoping to try and get past the likes of Jaco van der Lith, not having the easy time out there, constantly fishing for any opportunity. The Ferrari 296 driver just having a little bit more legs. Sergei Sarkov looked to the inside of Faz. Couldn't get the pass done and dusted, however. Faz getting the power down early on and will continue on the drive as they power their way through. Brandon Robin, Joshua Syme back down in our pro-am. That has got one of our pros, Werner Skuman, trying to cut his way through. Not going to be an easy time, and it's going to be a very, very difficult moment for many of the drivers to go and move forward. Tough time out there. Many of the drivers having to figure out what can they do to get going. Paul Gerber and Salvatore Cardi, who are on the run. And now it is just pace at top. Paul Gerber, Salvatore Cardi still continues on the drive, trying everything they can to get a little bit closer to the sharp end of the field. Willem Buerter runs right behind Byron Mitchell, trying to figure out where he can go to gain a little bit of time. You have Werner Swart and Yasin Ishmael follow each other through. So at the moment, as we go through the order, it's Salvatore Cardi, Paul Gerber, Byron Mitchell, Willem Buerter, Yuri Swart, followed by Yasin Ishmael, Werner Swart, Faz Sergei Sarkov, Jaco van der Lith, Jason Krinkers, Werner Skuman, Noah Hendricks, Jacques Ever, Roland Ferreira, and Hilton Nixon, rounding out our pros currently driving out on circuit. For our pro-ams, however, it is Brandon Robert, Joshua Syme, Etienne Swart, Fonny Krevenstein, Joko Hutzer, Onno Cross, Robbie Teen, Stephen Cakebury, Duncan Roderick, and John Durant, rounding out our top 10 for our pro-am. So great driving at the moment. Most climbs gained through it all. Has to be Onno Cross, up 10 positions. Well, just saying that, Joko Hutzer actually has gained the most, as he sits with 15 positions up from where he started in this race, and 9 positions up in class. So he's definitely standing on the power, trying to make up as much room as possible. But he has got Onno Kraus for a bit of company behind him, and Noah Hendricks closing up the gap after a bit of a devastating run for his part. And Noah Hendricks not having the best of qualifyings, now trying to make it all work in the race. And this is going to be a tough time for him. Jason all over the back of Jaco van der Lith, trying to put the hammer down early on. Couldn't quite get it to work, and Jaco van der Lith diving into pit lane to try and get it done and dusted. So, first of the pit stops coming in for our drivers as they try and get themselves sorted out during the course of this race. Werner Skuman will have to battle his way through this unfortunate pack as Werner Swart, Faz Sergei Sarkov, Jason Krinkers all are ahead of him, and they are in a nose-to-tail brawl, same as Byron Mitchell and Willem Buerter as they continue on their drive. So pit lanes starting to get a little bit busy for drivers on the way through, and many having to think what needs to be done here, how they're going to move through the order, and how far are they willing to go through in the fight. Jacques Ever all over the back of Robbie Teens at the moment. Robbie Teens, the nut and bolt driver trying to do everything he can. Jacques Ever goes off farming as Robbie Teens makes it rather difficult. That does, however, open it up to allow the 135 car to come through. And a good pass for the 135 as he continues on at the pace. And the 135, if I remember, is a little bit further down. That's Hilton Nixon that got the pass done and dusted. Trying to get it all sorted out. And the number 4 driver, Ben England, now continues to try and unlap himself in the Porsche. Couldn't quite get past Robbie Teens. Jacques Ever with a quick flash of the light saying, listen, here's the intent. I'm going to go for a pass. And you're kind of in the way at the moment. But there is no rule that says that you have to just jump out the way during the course of this race. You have to try and earn that pass. You can be easy and allow the pass to happen by a lift or opening up the corner, but that makes things rather difficult. Paul Gerber not going on the attack as yet, still waits behind Salvatore Cardi as he looks towards turn 1. Couldn't quite go for the inside line, decides to go for the outside and continues on the drive. Willem Buerta once again keeping the pressure on Byron Mitchell, trying everything he can. The RDSA esports driver will not have an easy time out there as he continues to try and figure out how to get past that Acura at a rate of knots. Werner Swart a little bit further back. It's got Yasin Ishmael and Faz Tar now starting to make a little bit of time. Sergei Sarkov and Jason Kremis also trying to close up that gap. Werner Skuman dives into the pits, try and get himself sorted out before the end of this race, and he wants to continue on the drive to move up through the order. Brandon Robin and Joshua now continuing on their pace, jumping over the curbs, not having an easy time, however, as the drivers need to figure out what is the game plan. Yeah, what are they going to do? What is going to be the big run for this race? They got a mandatory pit stop that has to be served during the course of the race. We're in through the first 15 minutes of this race, and that means that we're in for a really, really tight time because a lot of these drivers are going to be saving it for that final couple of minutes, the final 20 minutes of this race to get the swap done and dusted. Cardi not having the easy time, however, as he does have that Chev looking left and right, trying to figure out where exactly can he get by. And Paul Gerber not making it any easier at the moment, continues to try and figure out what is going to be the game plan. Yeah, how is he going to figure out for this pass? I mean, it is not an easy time for Paul Gerber, who wants to retake first place at this current moment of time. In the Chev, runs through the gears and just not able to get the run on the Ferrari 296, not as settled coming out of the final corner. That double right is rather tricky where you've got to feather the throttle on the way through. So as everyone starts to stabilize, trying to figure out where they're going from here, how they're going to be moving forward, and what is going to be the game plan. Werner Swart looking to go side by side with Yasin Ishmael. Couldn't unfortunately do it. The Porsche driver managing to slow it down just on the apex. Beautifully done to try and hold back Werner Swart. Faz Tar, however, gets fed straight into Sergei Sarkov and Jason at the moment. Jason Krickers doing everything he can. Brandon Roberts with the fastest lap time of the race. Does a 146.778. He's got a little bit of free room ahead of him to go and make any ways he wants to. Remember, he is dictating the pace in the Pro-Am field while Salvatore Cardi goes and leads out the main part of the race. We do have Eduardo going and sitting in the grandstands, however, after his little bit of an accident earlier on with Byron Mitchell. It's a bit unfortunate to see it, and hopefully we can get that car back out. So I hope that we can see you back out in racing, score a few points for the championship, even though you're a little bit further down. It's always good to see you going out and racing. One of our international drivers showing off what he can do. Unfortunately, this race was just not his race this time around after that Synod contact in the early stage of the race. Salvatore Cardi still leads out. Paul Gerber battling to try and figure out where can he get the pass done and dusted here. It's turning into a bit of a difficult time for the drivers as we do see Jaco van der Lith going off circuit, and both our leader and second place had to mine out of the way. Once again, Jaco van der Lith off circuit yet again to just try and let the field come through, not wanting to get swallowed up with a bit of a problem here. Yurian Piswat will be the next one to try and get by, as we do see Yasin Ishmael and Werner Swart. Faz Tar, however, feeling the pressure, trying to hold the inside line as he got Sergei Sarkov, and Jason Krinkers now trying to gain a little bit of time. Looks to the inside, second guess at Sergei Sarkov, going to make it work though. Jason around the outside, side by side, the Lamborghini and the Mustang go, but it does look like, however, Sergei's managing to hold on to that 9th position, and only just at the moment Fast-Tar had a little bit of breathing room to get it done and dusted. However, is now feeling the pressure on the way through. Not an easy time between them as they keep on the power. Drivers trying to figure out what is going to be the best idea here. What are they going to do to move their way forward during the course of this race? Werner Swart trying yet again, closing up at a rate of knots in through the S's. This is a flat out section. Before you get to the left-hander, slight little lift. Before you get to the left-hander here, it's a little touch of the brake, back on the throttle, into the double right. It is hard on the brakes, right into a short straight, into a long right, into the slipstream, and absolutely give it everything you got to try and make it work. Big change, however, starting to come through as Byron Mitchell has caught up to Paul Gerber after a 1 second gap to Salvatore Cardi. So Salvatore Cardi has got a fair amount of room to play with here, and this is going to play into the hands of Byron Mitchell, the Durant Motorsport driver. Will continue to try and figure out how is he going to move forward. Jacques Ever going through the pits as we do see that is Paul Gerber diving into pit lane, trying to get it all done and dusted. Salvatore Cardi, Byron Mitchell, Willem Buerta all going past. Same as Yuri Umpi-Swart, not wanting to back off, wanting to keep the race going in. Trevor Harper in through pit lane as well, as we're starting to see more and more drivers figuring what is going to be the best strategy here to get that 4-tire pit stop done. It's like 30 seconds that gets taken away from these drivers, and they have to try and figure out what is going to be the best strategy here, how they're going to move forward, and where are they going to go. So, that being said, here is our battle for 6th at the moment, as we do see the likes of Jason Krinkers keeping right onto the back of Sergei Sarkov, 0.4 of a second between them. Brandon Roberts, a little bit further down, is 10 seconds off this battle as he takes a look to try and hold the Pro-Am field. So absolutely great stuff between the drivers to see what's going to work, what's going to be the big move here. Paul Gerber, however, gone for the earlier pit stop, hoping for the undercut as they have gone past the halfway mark of the 40-minute race. Not really for the 45 minutes, but the extra 5 minutes just doesn't really count much to it, unfortunately, especially when it comes to these races and you need to get that pit stop done and dusted. You will be spending roughly about 40 minutes in for the pits. Fast-Tar, however, has got Sergei Sarkov for a bit of company. Nose to tail they go. In through the slipstream, Sergei looks to try and hold the inside line with Fast-Tar. Feed him right into the corner. Fast immediately to the center of the circuit. Sergei trying to look for the inside line. Late on the anchors, goes for the cut back, and Fast-Tar loses out. Sergei managing to get the pass done and dusted. Jason tries to get in. Salvatore Cardi in through pit lane. Change up at the lead. Byron Mitchell, Willem Buerta, Yuri Umpi-Swart will lead out the pack for our Pro division as they continue on the drive. Fast-Tar now feeling the pressure. Side by side he goes with the Ford Mustang. Has he got the top end to fight it out? It's going to try into turn 1. It's hard braking zone. Stuck on the outside. Unfortunately, the Porsche not able to make it work. Jason moves up into 7th position. Fast-Tar down into 8th. Sergei Sarkov up into 6th as they continue their drive through the race. Brandon Roberts keeps ahead of Etienne Swart. They will do yet another lap. Salvatore Cardi, Joshua Syme pulling into the pits to get themselves sorted out and continue on the drive. So pit stops happening for our drivers as we do have one car that has come off a little bit further back. Trying to see exactly who that was. I think that was Duncan Roderick that went and lost out the rear. Let's take a look. Yeah, that is Duncan Roderick. Brandon Roberts, apologies, that's Brandon Roberts who fell off the circuit and not having an easy time out there, losing out a little bit of drive, and now needs to try and figure out what can he do. So, for pit stops that have happened, keep an eye. Joshua Syme's done his pit stop, Stephen Cakebread and Duncan Roderick have done their pit stop along with Farney Kravenstein. For our pros, however, it's Salvatore Cardi, Werner Skuma and Paul Gerber, along with Roland Ferrer, Jacques Ever, Jakob van Lith and Hilton Nixon that are lying in the top 16 that have so far done their mandatory pit stop. That leaves likes of Byron Mitchell, Willem Buerta, Yuri Umpi-Swart, Yasin Ishmael, Werner Swart, Sergei Sarkov and Jason Kriegers up for a little bit of a difficult time here. Fast-Tar and Noah Hendricks also not too far behind, having the same problem where they have to consider when are they going to get the pit stop done and dusted. Noah Hendricks at the moment trying to get past Brandon Roberts as Sergei Sarkov and Fast-Tar pulls into the pits to get their pit stops done and dusted. Noah Hendricks up on the inside, gets a pass on Brandon Roberts. Next up is going to be Etienne Swart as he continues on the drive. Now remember, Noah Hendricks has not done a pit stop. He still is yet to do one during the course of this race, and it does cost them a fair amount of time to get it done and dusted. As we do see Brandon Robert diving into the pit lane to get his stop all sorted out. Jaco Kutzer will follow him through and will continue on the drive. Etienne Swart will be the only Pro-Am driver that's in the top 5 at current. Never mind, Arno Kraus is going to keep going, along with Robbie Teens, who is going to continue on the chase as he moves up through the order. Sergei Sarkov up into 12th position, coming out of the pits with Fast-Tar hot on the heels of him. And this is going to be an interesting time for the drivers to figure out what are they going to do here as they continue on their drive in through this race. It's going to be a tough time for many of these drivers to figure out what is going to be the game plan, how far are they willing to go, and where are they going to be moving up through the order. Now, remember, Luke Lucchesi, unfortunately, retirement in the race. That is going to be a change-up for our overall championship. Luke Lucchesi going to be out of that running if Werner Skuman continues on his drive, maximizing as many points as possible. And this is why we keep saying, if you're out of the race, rather try and keep circulating. You don't know where your points are going to be, and you don't know what's going to happen to the drivers that are out there on the circuit if a mistake may occur and drop him out. Byron Mitchell yet to pull in the pits, along with Willem Buerta and Yuri MP Swart trying to close up the gap as well. Yassir Neshmal still dealing with Werner Swart. These two still brawling as Jason Krickers pulls into the pits with the Ford Mustang. He's going to be waiting it out a little bit more, try and get the pit stop and look for that undercut yet again here at the beautiful Virginia International Raceway. 20 minutes left in this race, and it is still a lot to play for. Lots of points on the line for all the drivers to really move up in the order, and this is going to be crucial to go and make some great points in the championship, going and fighting their way through. We do see the likes of Etienne Swart and Noah Hendricks pulls into the pits, and that's going to be Etienne Swart going and giving up that first place as Arno Kraus pulls into the pits. Robbie Teens, however, goes diving into the pits. So the top 3 of our Pro-Ams continue on the drive, but where is Joshua Syme? He's on the other side of the circuit. Unfortunately, not ideal circumstances for him to try and close up to the rest of the field. And where are they going to go by the end of it? I mean, this is going to be a tough time to see how far are they willing to climb. Werner Skuman clawing his way back into the top 10 of the pros after an earlier incident in the race, dropping him down the order and not having an easy time there. Joshua Syme does come across the line, but is not ahead of Etienne Swart. Etienne Swart still leads out the pack of our Pro-Ams. He does have cold tires, and that is where Joshua capitalizes on it, gets a pass done. A beautiful, beautiful pass for the lead of our Pro-Am field, as now Joshua looks to leg it away from the competition. Werner Swart up in 5th place. We'll see Willem Buerta dives into the pit, so he's going to follow suit, not wanting to hold around there. Salvatore Cardi will be keeping an eye on this matter as he's looking to gain a few positions after doing his pit stop a little bit earlier in the race, and hoping that's going to make a big impact here for the last remaining seconds. Vonnie Cravenstein feeling the pressure, however, as he tries to get past Arno Kraus, the ETA Autosport driver. Needs every bit of pace underneath him to fight against Arno Kraus. Arno does give him a little bit of room, however, the Porsche just not having enough straight line to go and fight it out. Robbie Teens feeling the pressure from Brandon Roberts as the two of them are now closed up on one another, trying to move through. Werner Swart into the pits. Oh, Robbie Teens off circuit. Goes and loses out. Jaco Kutzer goes off track as well. And that, unfortunately, is going to drop him out of the running. As you can see, the entirety of the field comes launching on by, ensuring that they can keep the gap open. Byron Mitchell tries to carve his way through. He's got Robbie Teens ahead of him and has been keeping a consistent pace. 5.3 seconds ahead of fellow friend Yuri MP Swart, who is in for a great drive. Yuri MP Swart taking the win for the GT3 Championship Season 3. And now for Season 4, looking to try and gain some points, valuable points in the championship to make it all work here for the GT3 in the pro field. Now, the drivers are absolutely giving it everything they got, but it's still going to be the consideration of many of these drivers of when is these pit stops going to happen? When are you going to be able to do it? At the moment, Luke Lucchesi out of the race is going to be losing points as we do see Byron Mitchell pulls into the pit lane along with Urium P. Swart, try and get their pit stops done and dusted. Salvatore Cardi is third in the championship, is looking to make a bit of a climb up in our pro standings. So he's hoping to make that work in his favor. But here he comes, and we speak of the devil, and the devil will arrive. Salvatore Cardi, quick flash of lights, trying to inform the likes of Hilton Nixon. Listen, I'm coming through, and best mind out of the way rather quickly, as I do want to try and get past you. There's an opportunity for me to go and score some valuable positions, as we do see Noah Hendricks going off circuit. Paul Gerber going and putting the pressure on, mounted a huge amount of pressure onto the back of him, got the pass done and dusted. Jacques Ever trying to have a go at Roland Ferreira as these two battle it out between one another. Jacques Ever just not having the drive to work out in his favor. Byron Mitchell leaves pit lane but is on ice cold tires, and Salvatore Cardi, who's on older tires but are warmed up to temperature. Now, Salvatore Cardi has got the ability to now fight it out against Byron Mitchell. He's right up against the rear of him, tried looking for a pass, and you can see Byron really trying to slow the car down, trying to just get any bit of heat into the back of those tires, as Yassine Ishmael all over the back of Urium P. Swart, facing the exact same problem, just trying everything he can to get heat into those tires, to make it work in their favor, to make it a valuable moment now of taking newer tires to push harder at the end. And it's always a tough choice. Salvatore Cardi looks to the outside, couldn't get the pass done, nose to tail, looks once again for the outside. Byron Mitchell keeping him rather busy, stuck on the dirt, swings the rear, nearly loses out the drive, and really puts the hammer down. Absolutely incredible running from our drivers as they continue on the charge here at the Raceface.Pro round 4 of the iRacing GT3 Championship. Salvatore Cardi fighting with Byron Mitchell, looks to try get round, a bit of contact between the two of them, rubbing his racing, and Byron Mitchell off circuit couldn't quite handle the pressure there. He loses out. Salvatore Cardi moves up. Urium P. Swart loses out the drive. That has opened the door for Willem Buerta to have a go at him. So Byron Mitchell and Urium P. Swart losing at the top of the hill, and that has helped down the favor of our drivers. Yassine Ishmael, however, getting back to pits. Something's gone on with him, and he landed up off circuit. Let's quickly go and try and take a look at what happened. So side by side, there's it with Urium P. Swart. Oh, contact! Couldn't slow the car down fast enough, and Yassine Ishmael getting the rear suspension completely lopped off, and unfortunately having to tow back to pits and throwing him further out of the race. But needing to get that done, there is a fair amount of spares in the pits to get himself sorted out and back going. But that is a big blow. While Urium P. Swart dived in through pit lane, he was able to get going yet again after having that fast repair, but does get overtaken by our program leader Joshua Syme, along with the likes of we've got Paul Gerber trying to make his way through. He's got Etienne Swart trying to close up the gap of him. Now Etienne Swart running second place of our Pro-Am. We'll need to try and figure out what can he do here to gain some time. He's up 10 positions from where he started in this race. A great climb for him. 3 up on his own class to try and get back into the running order. Sergei Sarkov following through with Jason Krickers, our German and Lithuanian, going and having a go at one another. They're trying to move forward up in this battle. Brandon Roberts trying to go for the podium in the Pro-Am as he fights on against Fani Cravenstein. These two have gone to war in many different classes. TCRs, Mazdas, F4s, you name it, they've been in it, they've had the brawl in it, and they continue to fight it out between one another. Third place on the cards here is great points for both in the championship, and they can't be caught up in any squabbles. Jacques Ever, who's behind them in a pro division car, will be trying to figure out how can he get past without interfering too much in the race at hand. Salvatore Cardi leads out the race. Byron Mitchell trying to make up a bit of time as they continue on the drive here at Raceface.Pro. Taking a look over to the virtual grandstands, we have got the Badger coming off his live streaming, and we've also got Sanjin Pillay coming and joining in. Fantastic to see the ACC driver, Sanjin Pillay, and also avid photographer. I can't say it enough. Every time he does photos out in ACC, it's actually just a joy to go and see it. So keep up the hard work there, Sanjin. Part of the old rhinotzaneen team. Name escapes me right at there. I think it's, no, unfortunately, it just escapes me on the run. I do apologise. Ben England trying to have a go at Hilton. Nixon couldn't quite get the pass done. Does wait it out, however. Remember, they're on two different classes, but he has got John Durant that's going to be trying to catch up and make a little bit of time behind him. So we are seeing small skirmishes all over the show. Yasin Ishmael rejoining the circuit, trying to get a little bit more drive and stay in, as Byron Mitchell has landed up going to pit lane after having a bit of a problem. So what on earth happened to Byron Mitchell that he went off tack? We've got a couple of people, so let's take a look. This is Byron Mitchell losing the car. Oh no, he hit Robbie Teens. That is a massive, massive impact for Byron Mitchell. Not an easy time, and this is actually Willem Pienaar. Sorry, it wasn't even the likes of Robbie Teens. It was the likes of Willem Pienaar, who had the car slip underneath him, stopped in the middle, tried to reverse it back, and there is the impact. High speed impact, taking both drivers out of the running, and that is an absolutely howling crash of note. Not one that you want to see, but that does go and change the race up quite a bit. So, Sergei Sarkov up in 5th place, still fighting out with Jason, but it's Salvatore Cardi that is going in 1st place, Willem Buerta in 2nd, and Werner Swart holding 3rd. Now, Werner Swart has yet to take a win or even a podium here in the GT3s. This is going to be a great battle for him to move forward. Jason Krinkers and Sergei Sarkov are going to have a go. Paul Herber is having a great run at Yuri Umpi Swart. Now, these two, going back to Daytona, had a good bit of fun. And Paul Herber showed off a huge amount of pace in that Chevrolet as he tries to keep the power on. Brandon Robert going after Fani Cravenstein as we get closer towards the end. Has now got Jacques Ever onto the back of him. And this is going to be interesting because you've got a pro driver up against the Pro-Ams that can be influencing the podium. Now, Jacques has got to be rather careful here. He's got to think about the situation that is ahead of him. He doesn't want to lose time. That is for certain. He needs to catch up to Noah Hendricks. But he has got a fighting Brandon Robert and Fani Cravenstein, who don't have to jump out of the way for the blue flags. He just has to keep it all together. He just needs to focus on his drive. And for Jacques Ever being the faster driver, we'll have to figure out how to go around them without interfering. Now, remember, they are fighting for overall position, so it doesn't mean that there's a blue flag being shown by Jacques Ever to these two. So they are not worried about the car behind them. They're more worried on one another. So we do see Brandon Robert going and falling off a track a little bit, losing a bit of time there to the likes of Fani Cravenstein. And now it's going to be a bit of an interesting time. Jacques Ever closing up, rate of knots. Look to the inside. He's going to spike it. Brandon Roberts, however, saying not going to happen as he looked to have a go at Fani Cravenstein up into the long right-hander at the top of the hill. Not wanting to lose out the drive. Jacques Ever does lose out the drive, but they do, however, have a car to get past. And we'll have to try and figure out what is going to be the game plan. Trying to see who exactly that may be. That's John Durant, who is down 11th in class, 26th overall. He is a blue flag car, but we'll see this absolute brawl right behind him for the podium, the last step of the podium for the Pro-Am division. It immediately moves out of the way, does head into the dirt, however, loses a bit of time, but will continue on the drive. Brandon Robert taking more of the circuit than he ever wants to plan. Jacques Ever now has the inside line, will have the run through. Duty's tires are clean. Brandon Robert, however, is going to fight him tooth and nail to try and hold that position. And once again, Jacques up on the inside. Oh, a little bit of rubbing and racing there. Brandon Robert cuts it back, says, no, thank you. I want to maintain my position because now I am losing out to Finey Cravenstein, and we're fighting for third in class here. We got to keep the pressure on. We got to keep going and move our way through the order. So a very, very close tussle between them is going to land up in a bit of tears, I would think, at this moment. A little bit further up in the road, though, it is Sergei Sarkov still fighting out with Jason as they head towards turn 1. 38 minutes 25 seconds completed the race of this 45-minute sprint race here at Virginia International Raceway. Whoa, and late on the brakes, Sergei Sarkov going away from Virginia. He's going to try and visit the likes of Miami, and that's sort of braking. Unfortunately, loses out to Fast Tar, and it looks like Werner Skuman getting the pass done as well. Werner Skuman saying thank you very much on that. He will go and retake 6th place. Fast Tar just ahead of him will be smiling ear to ear, but unfortunately, late braking into turn 1 is a difficult one. The change in camber, the climb up the hill into the sudden drop, does make things rather blind, rather difficult, and having you guessing what you're going to do. Jaco Kotza all over the back of Stephen Cakebread, who is in that Mercedes AMG GT3, has got Jaco Kotza out there in the Mustang GT3, also the GTD as it's more known in IMSA. So great to see fight to the V8, naturally aspirated between them. No turbochargers attached to these as they continue on the drive, trying to move their way forward. A little bit further up in the order, though, Yuri Swart giving everything he's got. Joshua Symes stuck in the middle of these two pros. They're fighting out for 8th and 9th. Now, Joshua is first of the Pro-Ams. This is a bit of a tough time for him because he is now squarely in the middle of a fight that can cost him time and might be able to lose out that first place in the Pro-Am field. So you got to try and think what's going to be the game plan here as Jaco van Lith is coming out of pit lane. He's in 23rd, 14th in class in the Pro Division. So drivers figuring out what can they do here. Joshua trying to look for the pass here, figure out where can he go. Paul Gerber, however, hunting him down, trying to figure out what is going to be the game plan here. How can I make up a bit of a climb? What do I need to do? Sharks ever backs off. Brandon Robert back on the hunt for Finey Cravenstein. So drivers hoping to make a last-minute ditch effort here to try and gain some positions. Oh, it looks like problems ahead. Bit of contact with Finey Cravenstein as he loses out the position to Brandon Robert. That, unfortunately, was a big one. Let's take a quick look and see what happened. Oh, yes, just having that rear right getting tapped off. And Cravenstein spun on to the dirt, losing the rear. He's going to feel that there's lack of downforce underneath him and has dropped from 3rd position into 5th and is not going to be happy on that one. Going to be definitely going and saying, listen, that is not my game plan here. Not what I wanted. Stephen Cakebreak came off the circuit. Werner Skuman went off circuit as well, but it is going to be Jaco Hutza to gain a drive here. Brandon Roberts dealing with Jacques Ever now. Loses out a little bit of time. Jacques Ever keeping the pressure on, trying to figure out where he can go in the Monks battle. Paul Gerber gets past the likes of Joshua Syme, and now straight back onto the attack of Yuri Umpiswa. The McLaren just ahead of him, trying to figure out where the pace can go. Now, Yuri Umpiswa's not going to back down here, and Paul Gerber is no one to go and give up the fight as well in this race. So drivers still trying to figure out what is going to be the optimum. What are they going to be needing to do to fight out to the line? 42 minutes completed, 3 minutes left of this race. And at the top of the charts, Salvatore Cardi, Willem Buerta, and Werner Swart lead out the pros. Joshua Syme leads out our Pro-Am with the likes of Etienne Swart and Brandon Roberts chasing him down in 3rd place. Stephen Cakebread now trying to get a little bit more pace onto the back of Finey Cravenstein. You can see the McLaren injured after the contact a little bit earlier on. And this is going to be a tough time for the likes of Stephen Cakebread because Finey Cravenstein is no slouch during the course of this race. See Werner Skuman dives into the pits, trying to get himself and sorted out. And we'll have to try and figure out what is going to be the game plan here. Brandon Robert diving into the pits as well to try and get himself sorted out as they continue on their drive through. Ben England being well aware of the drive that he needs to do to continue on moving forward. And John Durant staying right out of the way of the competitors, not wanting to be fed into any issues at the moment, and looks to continue on his drive. Great to see many of the drivers utilizing their relatives, trying to figure out what is going to be the game plan, what is going to be the best way to go on the attack, and when are they needing to back off. That is all crucial details that come in. And I'm starting to see that there is a lot of support coming in for Salvatore Cardi, the Italian, getting a lot of high praise from the virtual grandstand. And there is a lot of Italian flags out there putting in the support for the Ferrari driver, looking to take the win here tonight up against some of the fierce competitors. Paul Gerber in the tow of Yuri Umpiswat tries to get a little bit closer. Doesn't want to go on the attack just as yet, but time is running out for both of these competitors. They're going to have to pull the trigger at some point to make their way through. Brandon Roberts trying to make a little bit of time. He's behind Stephen Cakebread, who is making life rather difficult on the way through. You can see dropping a wheel on the dirt. He's not right up to temp as he would like at the moment. Etienne Swart dealing with Werner Skuman all over the back of him. Now, Werner Skuman is part of the Pro Division. He's lying in 10th. Etienne Swart, second place of the Pro-Ams as they continue on their drive. But it is time closing little by little, and Salvatore Cardi is just playing the clock at the moment, waiting for his opportunity to go for the checkered flag. 30 seconds and less to go and make it work here to score the win and maximize the points for the championship. He lies third in the championship, a little bit off the likes of Werner Skuman and Luke Lucchesi, and will be scoring full points once he can get this one right. So it's going to be a tough time for him to move up through the order, but he is going to give it everything he's got. Paul Gerber hunting down Yuri Umpiswat, continues on his drive. Stephen Cakebread onto the back of Fani Cravenstein. Brandon Roberts, who pitted after the little bit of contact he had with the likes of Fani Cravenstein, is now sitting just seeing Fani there, but checker flag comes out and Salvatore Cardi gets the win at Virginia International Raceway. The Italian beats out the South Africans. Willem Botha takes second place along with Werner Swart in third. Jason Kremers will take fourth place. The German gonna be happy on that one, getting into the top 5. Fostar, hard fought, and will take fifth place. Sergei Sarkov will take sixth, with Yuri Umpiswat still continuing on the drive to hold back Paul Gerber as they continue to try and make a little bit more pace. It is coming up to the main straight, however, on the dirt. Yuri Umpiswat losing the drive. Paul Gerber going to try and drag him through, and it is going to be across the line. Yuri Umpiswat ahead of Paul Gerber. A phenomenal drag race on the way through. Leader of the Pro-Ams, Joshua Syme, takes the checkered flag, and he will be followed through with Etienne Swart taking second place here at Virginia International Raceway, and third in the Pro-Ams currently stands to be Arno Kraus, who's going to be more than happy on his effort, and well done for the Team Trial driver in the Lego colors. Jaco Gutser will be following through, but the fight behind as Fani Cravenstein holds on for fifth place. It wasn't his time to be, but still, what a climb back with a damaged McLaren. He'll take fifth with the likes of Stephen Cakebread and Brandon Roberts across the line. What a stellar drive from our competitors as many fight their way through. Robbie Teams going 0.03 behind Roland Ferreira as they came across the line. Very well done to them. And Paul Gerber, 0.1 of a second. Man, oh man, what a race. What a time. And what an exciting race we have just witnessed here at Raceface.Pro. And for round 4 to be done and dusted, many of these drivers are going to be taking a deep sigh of relief, as this circuit has been a fear for most. Unfortunately, it is going to be a loss of points for Luke Lucchesi, Doug Herber, Eduardo, and Byron Mitchell, not able to cross the line by the end of this race. So, what a race, what a time, what a bit of excitement, and honestly, many of the drivers to be rather happy on this incredible race day at Virginia International Raceway. For round 4, done and dusted. Now we're going to try and get a couple of our drivers to come and have a chat to us during the course of their race and give us an understanding of how did it go here at Raceface.Pro for the start of the race. I mean, this was just an absolute difficult one for many of the drivers to figure out what is going to be the game plan and how they could make it work on a very, very tough time here at a very, very incredible circuit. Salvatore Cardi and Joshua Syme take the win as we take a look at some of the replays, some of the exciting moments during the course of this race. And we'll be trying to get a couple of the drivers to come and have a chat to us to get their take on this Virginia International Speedway. And we have got a couple of drivers starting to make their way through to go and have a chat to. So let's bring in first place of our Pro-Am, Joshua Syme, to come in and have a chat to us here at Raceface.Pro. Joshua Syme, welcome to the commentary box. Absolutely wonderful to have you, and what a race to go and take the win. How are you feeling?
Yeah, great, mate. Yeah, the last few races have went really well, and just put in some practice, and just it went my way. Race start, managed to stay out of any trouble, and then yeah, pitted early to sort of undercut, and things just worked out for me.
Now, take us through this race. I mean, you were under some serious pressure, eventually landing up in a solid fight with two pro drivers that were brawling with one another. You got trapped in the middle. I mean, not an easy time to be going and taking a look and saying, well, what am I going to do here?
Yeah, so when I seen, I think it was Paul, first of all, get within sort of half a second of me, I was like, there's no point me fighting this because I'm not fighting for position with him, really. So sort of just left him open for the inside, and then did the same for, I forget who it was that was behind Paul, and just did the same so they could go ahead and just have their fight, so I didn't get into any trouble, because I knew I was running quite well for my Pro-Am championship. So.
And let's talk about that championship. You're currently leading it. Brandon Roberts running in second place. Robbie Teens in third. You're on 152 points. Now that round 4's out of the way, Virginia International Raceway done and dusted, which has been a bane of everyone's existence. First of all, are you a fan of this track after a difficult race?
Yeah, so I like the track. I think the racing on it is difficult, because it's so narrow and it's difficult to get past people, especially before I pitted. I was stuck behind Brandon for quite a number of laps, and I felt that I had the pace to get past him, but I just couldn't make it work, and then I made too many mistakes and fell too far behind. I think it probably more suits like your TCR cars. I think I really enjoy driving them around here, but I do enjoy the GT3s as sort of a hot lapping track. But racing on it I find quite challenging.
Well, Montgomery course is the next one on the 5th of August. What is your game plan heading into the likes of Montgomery course?
Oh, it's not a track that I've raced a lot around, so it'll just be as much practice as I can in the lead up to it, and then sort of just try and keep myself out of any trouble. I think that's the main way to sort of to do well in these races, is that if there's incidents ahead, just try and slow down, get out of the way of it, and then you can pick it back up later on, from what I've seen. So I think that's really the game plan, and just practice.
Well, before I let you go and enjoy the celebration, taking first place in the Pro-Am and doing a stellar job out there, anything you want to say to all the drivers, to all the teams, to all the incredible people out there on the virtual grandstands, and our sponsors here at Raceface.Pro?
Yeah, thank you to all the sponsors and all the other teams and drivers that have been racing. This season's been great so far, and I'm looking forward to seeing it out. My team as well, they've been great at sort of helping me when I've been practicing, watching for where I could pick up some time here and there. And yeah, just I think well done to everyone involved in the league. They've done superb. It's really well ran, and really been enjoying my second season with Raceface.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Joshua, thank you so much for joining us. Well done on your win. Congratulations yet again. The Snail's Pace Racing team, Joshua Son, getting the win for the Pro-Am and extending his lead in the championship. Absolutely well done on our Pro-Am. But let's bring in second place of our pros. Let's bring in Willem Botha. Willem, welcome to the commentary box. What a race, buddy, for the RDSA Esports. I mean, not the best of things happening to your teammate, but you were in a fight, top to bottom, lost track of the leaders, and then all of a sudden, you got brought back into the fray.
Yeah, Stephen, it was, I did say to Luke, listen, the temperatures are very high. I think you need to come and do some practices, and he couldn't. And I just worked on a setup myself for me. And yeah, I just thought I'll keep it clean. When I saw catching the front oaks and I had Byron behind me, I thought, okay, listen, let me just let him pass and sit behind him, let him chase the guys. And yeah, I just made a bit of an error, and then just thought I'll keep it clean.
Oh, it's been an absolutely great one. Now, take us through the race. I mean, this circuit is definitely a difficult circuit that doesn't go and give you any room for error and keeps drivers guessing.
Yeah, look, if you just break, you think they're going to break a little bit later, that is you, eh? That is Kavuki land. I mean, and if you just put the one wheel wrong on the dirt, that's you gone. So you got to keep it so nice and tidy and clean. And the temperatures were quite hot as well, so you have to brake so early. You can't really attack. And when you start passing the back markers, you really start stressing.
Well, it's been an interesting one. Now, take us through. Montgomery course is going to be an interesting time for many of the competitors. Are you concerned about the circuit? Are you feeling more confident after your second place here tonight?
I think I'm starting to get more confident, but yeah, you don't want to be too cocky. It can catch you out any time. And I just want to say thanks to Willem Pinar for giving me second place at the end there with Byron. So he lost it. Shame. I saw him passing. I saw the yellow flag. So bad for him and Byron. But yeah, Magny course, next one. So yeah, it's going to be interesting again.
Absolutely phenomenal. Well, Willem, before I let you go, anything you want to say to all the teams, all the drivers, to all the petrol heads out there on the grandstand supporting us, and also to all the sponsors here at Raceface.Pro?
I want to say thanks for the series, and I want to say well done to Salvatore and Paul Garber. He was on the move from practices all the time. Pity he finished in 8th, but yeah, well done for those guys, and thanks for the event.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Willem Botha taking second place in the Pro Division, doing an absolutely stellar job to fight his way through. But let's bring in first place. Let's bring in Salvatore Cardi. Welcome to the commentary box. You got a win, and now jumping up through the order in the championship. How are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, it was an amazing race, and yeah, so funny because I have a lot of battles with so many people. So yeah, it was a great race.
Well, I mean, let's talk about your championship, because you came 3rd in round 1, 6th in round 2, 9th in round 3, and getting a win here tonight. I mean, you're 3rd in the championship. This does bring you a bit closer to the sharp end of the field. Are you feeling more confident towards the end of the season to take the win in the Pro Division?
I mean, more win I got, more confident I feel. So I have to win more and more races for be confident.
And take us through this race in terms of planning your pit stop. Where was the game plan for you? Was it halfway? Were you playing it by ear? What was the game plan?
It wasn't really strategic race because me and my mate Edoardo made a strategy with the maximum of liters you can put, and I stopped when I was like 3 laps left of fuel because I seen the second one on the race stop one lap before.
Well, absolutely great. Montgomery course, next one. Are you feeling that you are able to get the win one again, or what's the game plan for you heading into the second last round of the season?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I want to win, so I hope so.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, before I let you go and enjoy the celebrations, taking the win here tonight, is there anything you want to say to all the teams, to all the drivers, to all the fans out there on the grandstands going and cheering you on? And might I say, the Italian flags were waving high here at Virginia International Raceway this evening. And also to all the sponsors out there in Raceface.Pro.
I mean, thank you all for the support, and thank you to my coach, which is my teammate, Edoardo Macchion. That yeah, he made me being this, and yeah, I want to say a big thank you to him.
But it's absolutely incredible. Salvatore Cardi, everyone, taking the win here in the pro class at Raceface.Pro, Virginia International Raceway. Salvatore, congratulations. Enjoy the champagne, and we look forward to seeing you at Montgomery Court.
Thank you.
Well, great stuff to have a chat to Salvatore by the end of this. I mean, it's been an absolutely wild, wild one, folks, and we have seen some incredible racing, but it does bring us to the end of our iRacing GT3 Sprint Cup here for round 4. We say goodbye to Virginia. We move over to the absolutely stunning Montgomery Court, and I think we are going to see a absolutely phenomenal drive. Championships only heating up, and now that we're going to have a battle not only for first, second, and third getting into the fray for the Pro Division, we've also got a close fight in our Pro-Ams as well. So we're looking forward to seeing what is going to happen. Make sure you join us on the 5th of August for some ultra competitive racing here in the iRacing GT3 Sprint Cup here at Raceface.Pro. A massive thank you to our sponsors, Simulator Cave, Rhino Utility, SBR, and Virtual Motorheads for being a part of all the impressive action that's happening. And keep an eye out on our SimGrid. Head over to the SimGrid page if you are wanting to join in with the racing. Join us out on Discord as well. We do have a bunch of fun races that is happening in the meantime that you can be a part of, whether you're a big fan of Le Mans Ultimate, iRacing, or even ACC. There's plenty of action to be had, lots of chats to be had, and some incredible days. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, and let us know what was your favorite part of the race. And with that being said, we'll see you a little bit later on, 5th of August. That's me from the THT Productions. My name is Stephen Koenig. A massive thank you to Tim on the cameras and Jim, who's been our marshal out there waving the flag. And we'll see you next time. And like always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.